Hello, and on the table today is something brand new for me, and that is the Pro Boat Models PCF Mark I Swift boat. So this is a new model from Pro Boat, and it's my first Pro Boat. I've wanted a Pro Boat for a while now. I've had other RC boats in the past from some other manufacturers, and they've always been of the speedboat variety. And to me, that's fun for a while, but as I get older and I really start to have more of appreciation for history and for historical items such as warbirds on the airplane side, and other types of military equipment and military history, I kind of wanted something that would fit the bill for a boat as well. I know that there's a couple manufacturers of military boats out there, but typically they're very, very large, very complex to build. They're more of kit type products, and they're really too big for the area that I have to operate in, as well as well beyond my budget. So I knew what I kind of wanted, but there really wasn't anything in the marketplace that really fit the bill. And I'm glad I waited, because Pro Boat introduced this Swift boat, and I instantly looked at it and says, that's exactly what I've been looking for. It's a historically significant boat. It's a right size. It's about 24, 25 inches long. It's great for the pond that I operate my boats in, where I don't have, it's got a lot of area, but I don't necessarily want to take up the entire area with one of my boats, or a speedboat that just goes from one end to the other really fast and has difficulty turning around. So this really fit the bill. And as I mentioned, it's my first scale boat as well. I had built model ships in the past, destroyers, aircraft carriers, other types of plastic model boats as a kid. A lot of submarines, especially Hunt for Red October was one of my favorite movies, and they came out with a series of submarines and ships from that movie, and so I built all of those. But I never had a remote control boat that was really more of a scale model, and that's exactly what Pro Boat has delivered here. So a little bit of the history on the Pro Boat, then we'll on the Swift boat here, then we'll kind of dive into it a little bit more. So the Swift boats operated during Vietnam. The Navy identified that they had a need for a relatively quick, fast patrol boat that was larger than their other one they had, which was the PBR, which was Patrol Boat River, which is a much smaller boat. You may recognize that one from Pro Boat had a model of it a few years ago known as the Alpha Patrol Boat. It was used in the Grand Tour, and it was also used in the movie Apocalypse Now. And that's a much smaller boat than this one here. The Navy needed something a little bit larger, and they needed something that could operate within the rivers inside of Vietnam and not only bring firepower in, but also be used to check shipping traffic. The North Vietnamese would a lot of times use the regular shipping lanes to move material, ammunition and things like that, and supplies down the river, and they would disguise it as basically a fishing vessel or any type of a regular shipping vessel, a civilian type boat. So it made it very difficult to interdict those. So the Navy needed something that they could use to interdict those types of boats. So what they found was there was a company that was building these aluminum hulled boats to move workers from the shore out to offshore oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico. And so they got a hold of these boats, and they had the manufacturer make some modifications to them. So for the most part, this is off-the-shelf civilian boat, but when the Navy said they needed to be getting ready to go into a war zone, they added a turret on the top here with twin 50 caliber machine guns. They added some extra antennas on here for radio communication. They added a depth finder. They added a radar. However, most of that stuff was still just off-the-shelf civilian-grade equipment, but they were able to integrate it into this boat very quickly because it was pretty much all off the shelf. They also added a 50 caliber machine gun on the back here, as well as an 81 millimeter mortar. That's on a swivel pedestal here on the back. And then they added an ammunition locker back here where the 50 caliber rounds as well as the mortar rounds were kept. But otherwise, for the most part, this is a civilian ship that the Navy quickly put into use. So it's not armored. It didn't carry any type of countermeasures against attack. It didn't really have anything to protect the crew. It was built out of 1/4-inch aluminum. So obviously not something that is going to provide a heck of a lot of protection. So this boat would also work in conjunction with the PBRs, the Patrol Boat River, smaller boats, and really be able to respond very quickly to events going on the river. So they could bring firepower, they could also move fairly quickly, they could also use the ship to board other ships for inspection as well. So a couple other details on this as we kind of move through it. So I guess I'll start right up here in the front. We'll kind of work through some of the scale details and a little bit of the story of the ship as we move through it. So as I mentioned, it's basically a civilian boat. It was designed to move workers out to oil docks. So a lot of what you see here is exactly what you would see in the Gulf of Mexico, taking workers out there. So up front we have an anchor with a line attached to it, which is a very cool detail. It's actually a loose line that's actually wrapped around the mast here. So the anchor is fixed though, so that doesn't come off. And then moving back here, we have the pilot house. The pilot house has a searchlight that it does not move, but the searchlight does turn on, as well as 2 navigation lights. It's got a red and a green, as well as a kind of an anti-collision light here up at the top. And this entire pilot house actually lifts off. It's on with magnets, and when you take this off, there's a connection here on the back that connects to the deck, and that's what allows you to power the lights, and you can turn the lights on and off. With the pilot house off, we can take a look inside. It is twin motors. It has twin brushed motors with heat sinks and one very large servo in the center that operates the twin rudders. Otherwise, it's all plastic construction inside here, plastic hull, plastic deck, and this is held on by magnets as well. And then we have the receiver ESC combo in here, and then there's a nice battery tray in there as well. I run this on a Spectrum 2200 3S 30C pack. It's actually the same battery I use for a lot of my aircraft, so it works out well. There's a couple size variations that you can have to run this on, but I find the 2200 3S provides me with plenty of power as well as plenty of runtime as well. It does come with an SLT3 transmitter that does have a 50, 75, and 100% slider on the side of it. I primarily run this at 75% on a 3S pack. That is plenty fast enough for me and also gets me really long run times. I don't have an exact time on that, but you're in that 20-minute, maybe even 30-minute run time, as long as you're not running, continually that entire time. You kind of take a break. Maybe I'll kind of take the boat over and kind of look out for, see if I see any enemy forces there on the bank. And so I'll kind of coast for a while and let the boat just kind of float out there. But I get plenty of runtime out of that 2200, and that's situated in here. Also located in the pilot house, if this was the real Swift boat, you have the where the pilot or helmsman would operate the ship from. There's also radios and throttle and everything would be up into here. And then on the back here you have an additional helm, which for docking operations as well as pulling up to other ships, the driver would actually use, or helmsman actually would use this helm back here, and he would operate it, and then they would dock along the port side here. There's also these really nice chains that you can actually hook in to the pilot house here, and there's one on the back here as well, and then you can just kind of let them dangle free, because you need to have them free in order to pull this off. The turret on the top does indeed rotate, as well as the gun elevates up and down. If you want, you can add a servo into this turret housing here, and you use a Y cable, and you can plug that into the rudder channel, and as you turn the rudder, it will turn the 50 caliber machine gun turret as well. I have mine loose right now, mostly because I just kind of enjoy playing around with picking out where I want it to go. It does not elevate with the servo, it only rotates with the servo. So what I'd really like to do is actually have a fourth channel in which I could rotate that more of 180 degrees. But right now it just kind of moves with the rudder, or you can just move it manually, which is how I have it here. Then you have the details of the radio antenna. You have all this railing detail around here as well. You have the steps, you have doors and hatches and everything on here. Very well done. This whole pilot house assembly with the American flag here on the back is very, very well done. The quality of the plastic is outstanding. The quality of the finish is great. It's got rivets, it's got panels, it's got handles, and it's got all the little scale details that you would really expect for basically what I consider a fully functioning scale detailed model of a swift boat. Moving back here, you have two molded in panels here. These were actually the access hatches on the real swift boat if you wanted to operate or get down into the engine bays to work on the engines. These were powered by two General Motors diesel engines. There was twin screw, twin motor, twin rudders on here as well, and they were accessed through this panel here. Of course, to access our brushed motors, which are located in just about the same spot as they would be on the real one, you pull the pilot house off, and that gets you access to the motors. Moving back a little bit, you have a really nice railing here with some rope, or technically lines, that are on here. They are elastic, so if you do bump them, you don't damage them. I thought that's a very nice touch. Then you also have the tires hanging off here as well that would use to protect the hull when it came up on the dock or up against another ship. And then down the back here, you have a swivel and elevating 50 caliber machine gun with 81 millimeter mortar. And then of course the locker, which is you can remove that to access the servos for the rudder if you had to do any type of trimming or adjustment. This is of course a magnetic catch on here as well. And then you have the rear mounted anchor with line as well. So an incredible amount of detail that they put on this Pro boat. Like I said, it really is like a functioning scale model more than an RC boat. Typically a speedboat doesn't have any real scale details to it. It doesn't look like anything other than a speedboat. It's not modeled after an actual boat. And those are fun, but for me, I have way more fun learning more about historical items such as the swift boat. And of course, swift boat made the news about 20 years ago during a presidential election with John Kerry. And that was kind of my only exposure to the name swift boat. I knew very little about him other than, I don't know, there was something in the news about John Kerry, a swift boat, and Vietnam. And that's about the extent of what I know. So this gave me a really good opportunity to kind of reset that and learn more about the swift boats, learn about their mission, learn about the crews that operated on them. And it's kind of a story that isn't very well known. It's not a part of any real movies. It's not really well documented. But it was an important part of the conflict, and I think this boat gave me the inspiration to learn more about it. And in the process of learning more about it, I picked up this book here by Dan Daly. It's Whitewater and Red Hot Lead, and it is his story of being on board a U.S. Navy swift boat in Vietnam. It's a fantastic book, fantastic resource, and you can really learn a lot more about not only what these boats did, but what their crews went through, and a little bit about the conflict as well. So if you're into history, I definitely encourage you to get that book as a kind of a complement to the swift boat as well. And if you're like me and you really enjoy history and you are looking for a remote control boat and you want something historically significant, I highly suggest this swift boat from Pro Boat. It basically scales out to about 1/24th, 1/25th scale. So if you've been looking for something to even go more with this, the Blade 230S helicopter, hint hint, is also basically scales out to 1/24th scale. So if you put a UH-1 body on a Blade 230S helicopter, you would have a Huey helicopter that would go along with this Pro boat here, and now you are really kind of creating that look and feel of the Vietnam conflict on the water if you could put a helicopter and this boat together. I've driven it a number of times now. I've sailed it around the pond a little bit. I've thought to myself, this is probably the most fun I've had with a remote control boat. And the reason is, I think, to me, the speedboats get boring. You basically just run full throttle back and forth up and down the water until the battery goes dead. That's not the case with this. I can actually I can operate it at night, which I really can't do with a speedboat. Speedboats don't have lights on them. When it gets dark, you really can't see them all that well. They come out of the water. I've been having the most amount of fun on this at dusk as the sun is really low and is basically dropped below the tree line, and in the evening. I was driving this thing to 10:30 last night while fireworks were going off all around me. It is 4th of July weekend when I'm filming this. There's fireworks going off, there's loud booms going on, and I'm out there with my swift boat with the navigation lights on, out on patrol, and having an absolute blast with it. It's not too fast, but it does move at a pretty good clip, even at the 75% throttle setting. It's ideal for operating at night. I could creep around some cattails and around some of the plants and stuff that grow on the side of our pond here, and it was an absolute blast. This is the most fun I've ever had with a remote control boat. It really is. And to me, it's not about going fast anymore. It's really more about kind of reliving history and bringing history to life. And that's what this boat does. So yeah, I'm blown away by it. I love it. It's a huge departure from what the most of what people buy for remote control boats, which is to go fast, and that's all they care about. For me, it was all about having something that looked like a fully functional scale model, and ProBoat has done an absolutely fantastic job replicating a PFC, Patrol Craft Fast, swift boat in this 1/24th, 1/25th scale. So if you guys get any questions on the ProBoat swift boat here, by all means leave them in your comments below. I am planning to do some footage of it actually out on the water doing something. It's unfortunately raining today, so I can't do that as easily as I wanted to. But I did want to take some time to talk about not only the history of the swift boat here, but a little bit of the features that the ProBoat has. So yeah, like I said, if you're into history and you are into kind of naval operations here, and you're looking for a really nice way to get into the scale boat side of the remote control boat hobby, this is probably the best way to do it. So ProBoat also offers a tugboat. The tugboat's cool because it actually has a recovery system on it, so you could use it to recover a boat that gets stranded out on the water. This boat does not have that, but to me, having something that's an actual Navy vessel that is seen combat is way cooler than a tugboat, at least to me. So, like I said, if you guys get any questions on the swift boat, by all means leave them in your comments below, and I'll be more than happy to help out. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content and want to see more.